Hey, everybody. Welcome to the post-show wrap-up of the Shrimp Tank. I'm your host, Rich Jensen, along with my co-host, David Sims, and our guest today, Clay Sexy Mosely of Rock City Digital. You'll have to listen to the entire podcast to find out where that's coming from. But each week on the post-show wrap-up, we like to bring you highlights of the conversations we just had with our guests. We just completed a great show. A lot of fun, a lot of laughs as usual, and you won't want to miss it. If you want to hear the full podcast, go to arkansas.shrimptankpodcast.com, download it on iTunes, and you'll have a great time listening. And you can catch all of the podcasts at arkansas.shrimptankpodcast.com. So, David, I think you wanted to start off with
it was a great show. Been trying to get Clay on the show for a while. He's really cutting edge with what they're doing with Rock City digital marketing, and everything digital. But one of the things that you shared on the podcast was about the importance of culture, and that the way you're building your team and the success you guys have had over the last 2 years is because you guys really value your team as number one, and then the customer number two. Share with our viewers what you mean by that.
Well, like one of the things that, like, whenever I was an employee, at a company, just working for someone else, was like I just hated like my job a lot of times, right? So whenever I started this company, I thought to myself, what would I actually want as an employee? If I were an employee of myself, what would I want? And that's, I just did the things that what I would want. Right. So I didn't think of it as a boss. Right. So I implemented like a culture that is super fun environment to work at.
It's really like the golden rule, man. It's like you're doing as an owner for your employees, but the way you'd want to be treated if you were an employee.
I think we just found out, though, why he was fired from every job he ever had. He wanted to do it his way.
He was meant to be an entrepreneur. That's what it was.
This might not. Yeah, that's probably correct. Yeah.
Hey, one of the things I asked you, Clay, was what's the number one lesson you think you've learned in business, and especially being an entrepreneur? And your answer was pretty interesting. Share with our viewers with that.
Yeah, so it was a very short answer. It was just because something doesn't work now doesn't mean it doesn't work. So it's like, so test everything. And so it just means you didn't do it the right way. And that might not necessarily be true. It might be something like maybe it just didn't work, but
maybe you're
but try it more than
ahead
once.
Of your time.
Yeah, try it more than once, right? So like a lot of times what I see is people will try something one time and it doesn't work, and then they say, okay, well that is never gonna work.
Right.
And so that goes with everything, like with marketing, and which really that's the definition of a good marketer, is a good tester. But I even expand that into business.
Yeah. And on the podcast, our producer, Gordon Jensen thought of the quote from, who was it? Edison?
Edison.
You know how many times until he figured out the light bulb?
It was either 20 or 10,000.
20 or, and we figured it out on the break, right? It was actually about 10,000.
About 10,000 times he tried it.
Amazing. So that's really
found 10,000 ways not to do a light bulb.
Yeah, right. 10,000. Anyway, that's kind of rabbit trail. Squirrel. Okay. So another thing you said on the podcast that was really good is the important change you made to your business model that allowed you to really have dramatic growth over the last 2 years.
And hire the people that you needed to grow.
Yeah. Share that with our viewers. That's an important point.
Yeah, I would say one of the most important, if not the most important, is we changed to a recurring revenue model. And so what that means to those people that don't know is it's not transactional. It's not where we sell something and it's over and then we have to start over again, right? So it's recurring. And so that's not just my industry. That's, I think, if you can do it, every business should do that.
That's why Microsoft no longer sells you Microsoft Office. You now have to pay monthly for 365.
Yeah. Same thing with like Adobe, right? They charge you, no longer can charge you standalone software. It's you have to pay monthly. The reason why that's super important is because of cash flow. Cash flow is super important in a business. And if you know how much money is coming in over the next few months, you can plan so much easier.
It's really helped you with your modeling and your growth, managing your growth. Wow, it's good stuff.
Well, hey, if you're listening, if you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to get a website up and running that really works, or you need some help digital marketing, Rock City Digital is the folks to call. So, Clay, tell our listeners, how can they get a hold of you or retain Rock City Digital to do some work for them? What's the best way to make contact?
We're probably more active on Facebook and Instagram. So our handle is just Rock City Digital. You can always go to our website, rockcitydigital.com. And if you want to follow me personally, my Twitter handle is claymosley.live.
And you don't give out your cell phone number on something like this.
You can email me.
I bet you when you call somebody, you never leave a voicemail, do you?
It depends on who.
It depends on who.
I'm calling.
Okay.
Yeah. If I know it's a millennial that hates voicemails, then I probably won't.
Hey, next week on the Shrimp Tank, we're going to have Natalie Gadati of Gadati Communications. We're really looking forward to it. We've had to reschedule her a couple of times. So hopefully we'll be able to work that out, just like we had to do with you, I think, a couple of times too, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So all the good ones take a little while.
That's
to
right.
work.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, until next week, stay safe. And remember, in the business world, to become a shark, we all start out as shrimp.